Hi, and thanks for taking the time and interest to spend a few minutes with me. I really appreciate it. I want to talk about the University of North Carolina situation. I haven't done so before because I didn't think it was appropriate, but there are 3 reasons why I think now is a good time to speak up. First, the NCAA hearing is over. Secondly, I have literally received thousands of letters and messages of support and have been asked over and over to say something. And then finally, there has been so much misinformation out there that I feel I need to set the record straight. Let's talk first about ethics and my coaching philosophy. I am absolutely committed to a clean program. But beyond just saying it, my coaching record is very clear on this matter. The program I took over at the University of Miami was perceived as out of control. It faced a host of sanctions from the NCAA, a loss of 31 scholarships, and a forfeiture of a bowl game, and more. In my time there, my staff and I completely changed the environment, the culture, and the perception of the Miami program. We rebuilt the commitment to academics at the same time we rebuilt the program. My last year there, the team went 11-1, played and beat Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and then played for the national championship the next 2 years, winning one of those. My rebuilding effort at Miami was based on my belief that we can achieve huge success in both the classroom and on the field. Nothing has ever changed. That was and remains my coaching philosophy, and it was a philosophy that I brought to the University of North Carolina. Those who have implied that my ethics were different at the University of North Carolina couldn't be more wrong. People can write and say whatever they want, but the proof of the records is there for anyone who cares to look at it. Now I'd like to talk about my commitment to academics. Perhaps you may have heard me talk about the importance of education, but let me share a little private information with you that most people don't know. Education has been one of my core values my entire life. Before I was a college coach, I was a high school biology teacher. My grandmother had a PhD and was in public education for more than 50 years. My father had a master's degree and was a teacher and a high school principal. My mother was a teacher. My sister has a master's degree and was a high school teacher and is a guidance counselor now. And there are even more members of my family devoted to education. But still, let's go beyond the words and look at the record. I've been a head college football coach for 10 years. 9 of those years, my teams were recognized by the American Football Coaches Association for academic success. The average SAT for our incoming freshman players rose by 40 points during my tenure at UNC. And over the last 2 years at Carolina, the football team's adjusted graduation rate of 90% met or exceeded the rate for the general student population. Again, people can say and write what they want, but the facts and the truth are there. And while we're correcting the record, let's address the misinformation that's been thrown around about the Blue Zone. It wasn't my idea, though it was a good one. During my initial interview, the committee presented drawings, plans, and renderings for a major renovation of Kenan Football Stadium. These plans included an expansive training facility for all Olympic sports, a new academic support area for all 800-plus student athletes, and a home for the Leadership Academy. Tammy and I agreed this was a project worthwhile and needed, and in fact, we made a substantial financial donation. So did I support the Blue Zone? You bet. But it wasn't my idea, and any suggestion to the contrary are just plain wrong. Let's talk for a bit about John Blake. Did I know he had such a close relationship with a sports agent? No. Should I have known? I wish I had known. As the head coach, you want to know every single thing. You like to think that you know the important things, but logically you know that you simply can't know everything. After being named head coach at UNC, I presented John's name along with several other candidates for the assistant positions that were open. These names were given to the university administration, and as far as I know, they each underwent and passed background checks. It was my understanding that under UNC policy, all football employees, including myself, need to be cleared by the Human Resource Department for any history that would be relevant to the job. Further, it was also my understanding that the UNC Compliance Office would contact the NCAA to determine whether a candidate might have a history of violations at any former institution. John had served as the head coach at the University of Oklahoma for 3 years. In addition, he had coached at Mississippi State, Tulsa, and at Nebraska. and UNC had no negative feedback from any of those schools. In doing their background investigation, UNC couldn't uncover a single problem. To my knowledge, those background investigations didn't reveal any violations or even any red flags. You should know that we followed those same procedures over the entire 4 years, and occasionally a report would come back saying a candidate had an issue. When that happened, they were immediately dropped from consideration. Contrary to what some would lead you to believe, in my 37 years of coaching football, John and I had been on the same staff a total of 2 times, and our time together spanned only 5 seasons. Before we hired John at UNC, he and I had last worked together in 1994 when we were both coaching for the Dallas Cowboys. So to reiterate, did I know of John's close relationship with an agent? No. Do I wish I had known? Yes. Okay, I appreciate you still being with me. Let me talk briefly about a couple of other matters before I close. The first is the tutor issue. A lot has been said about this, almost all of it wrong. Tammy and I came to Miss Jennifer Wiley, the tutor, through the university's academic support department when we asked for recommendations for a tutor for our son. The department recommended only one person, Jennifer Wiley, and they did so glowingly. We immediately liked Jennifer, and still do. Our son considered her to be like an older sister. From what I understand, the primary allegations against Jennifer arose when the academic support department neglected to tell her that she was absolutely forbidden to help any student athlete once she stopped being a tutor. I did not know about that failure, and I wish it had not happened. Let me just touch on the parking ticket issue and put this in perspective for you. During 1 year, the university's public safety department issues approximately 46,000 citations, which generates about $1.4 million in revenue. The area where the players normally parked for practice was under construction, and the courtesy of not issuing parking tickets for the students attending practice had been eliminated. So over the course of 3.5 years, 11 players accumulated 395 parking tickets. Yes, they should have paid them as they received them. No, they didn't. When the football department was informed by the registrar of their outstanding balances, the individuals were notified right away and they put their account in order. Now let's turn to the issue of my private phone records. As I speak with you now, the issue of my cell phone records is up to the court system. As I have told the court, my concern is not that there is anything in my records. I have offered to show all of my records to a judge and let the judge review them in private. The university's outside legal counsel, a former investigator for the NCAA, has already reviewed those records and found nothing of concern. I just do not want my friends, family, and personal contact information to be made public. Nobody should be subjected to harassment simply for being close to me. Finally, this part feels a little awkward. But so much has been said about my firing that I feel I need to comment on it. I believe the decision to end my tenure at Carolina was the chancellor's alone. While I agree the chancellor was within his rights to do so, I have said that I do not agree with his decision. Please keep in mind that neither the NCAA nor the university's investigation even suggested any wrongdoing on my part. In closing, I'd like to say that when I accepted the position of head football coach at UNC, we had every intention of making this our last coaching stop and home forever. We love and still do this community, the friends we've made here, and the university. We became very involved financially and civically, and we will always cherish the love and support from the UNC fans. I hope I was able to clear up some things for you, and I want to thank you very much for your interest and for listening.